Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to say here that just remind everybody what this debate is about. This debate is about money. This is a money debate. And in case anyone's wondering, I don't really have any dog in this fight other than the fact that I believe that the state ought to keep its promises. The state ought to set an example for counties on how we manage our money, and the state shouldn't take advantage of our size and our clout and our position over counties to do whatever we want to just because it's convenient. Now, I've heard a lot of belly aching, which really stems back to the fact that we feel like we don't have the money to fully fund the local government fund, and we haven't since 2008, even though revenues have increased since 2008. So what have we been doing with those increasing revenues? That's my first question. The second question is, I ask all of you, what is the problem with using 4.5% of the previous year's revenues when every one of you take a paycheck that has withholding taxes in it? All you have to do to handle a budget that requires an expenditure based on last year's actual revenue is to stick that money aside in an account, and then at the end of the year you've got the money to fund the local government. That's what the IRS does with our paychecks. That's what any responsible homeowner does, and that's what we should be doing as a state government. So, you know, the third issue at play here for me is I do believe that counties are run better, and I realize that in some counties in our state that's not always true, and that hasn't always been true in my county, in Anderson County. But on the whole, if you look and see, compare what DOT is doing at the state level and has been doing for the last few years to what county transportation committees have been doing. Who's getting the job done? I would dare say that by and large it's the county transportation committees, even with everything that's happened with transportation funding and DOT, it's been the counties that's been getting the job done. Ain't that right, Mr. Pope? So, you know, if there's any place we should be cutting, it should be state government, not county government. It's the county government's budget that's going to get more scrutiny, that has a better chance of being spent well, a lower chance of being wasted than our state budget does. And so I would ask you to consider carefully what we're going to do here. You know, you may question, okay, how can you as a fiscal conservative vote for giving more money to counties? Well, when the state has mandated that the counties have to do certain things, like pay for magistrates, we have a job to fund that. And if we don't hold up our end of the deal, maybe they're not going to hold up their end of the deal. Like Spartanburg County has already started cutting magistrates from, I think it was 27 down to 18 now. And 9 of those are part-time. So, you know, we as a state, because we're not willing to rein in our own federal or our own state budget, we're going to affect counties' abilities to provide the services that we, the state, say they have to provide. And in turn, that's going to put them in the awkward position of either do they deal with that and take the political repercussions of reduced services, or do they take the political repercussions of raising taxes, neither of which we at the state are willing to do ourselves. So, you know, we need to make hard decisions. I don't buy this line that we don't have the money for these things. We don't have the money for roads. We don't have the money for funding local government fund. And let me tell you something. This is exactly why counties don't trust us enough to take over state roads that really should be county roads, because they don't believe we're going to make good on our promises. Let's face it, we don't have a track record of making good on our promises. Thank you.
Mr. Hill, would you take questions? Mr. Pitts has a question. No, Mr. Hill.